Hello and welcome to Console Shock episode 51, Retro and Modern Gaming Chat with me, Trev and Stu.
Hi there, Trev. How are you?
Pretty friggin' good. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good. We got a good subject this week, right up my street.
It is deep in your street, up the Hershey Highway, isn't it? A bit
up
graphic,
the
but
Hershey Highway.
Hershey Highway, yeah. It's basically a euphemism for the anus, but yeah, because
I worked that one out. I just hadn't heard that term before.
You could use that at work tomorrow.
Could do.
Right up my Hershey Highway. Because when you're really enthusiastic for something, you kind of want to bum it, don't you? That's where that kind of feeling came from. And so we've had a couple of guests recently, but we like to sort of throw in an episode of just plain old us.
Exactly.
Friggin' charismatic. Anyway, right?
We use charismaticnism.
I mean, you own a shop, so you were always like, yeah, let's sell some products. Yelling at people, chucking games at people's faces, trading in FIFA 11, all the 50 copies of it.
Yes.
I think we're enough to handle.
Just a quick update. Arsenal have just scored again. It's 2-0 at the moment.
Oh, cool.
Let's keep on going. Yeah.
The game I was interested in happened last night.
What was that?
Shrewsbury beat Doncaster.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, because Doncaster are below Charlton, literally just below them. So, yeah.
Perfect.
There you go, chat. A bit of League One news for you. Always thing people want in a gaming podcast, I think. So, yeah.
There might be a few more football updates as we go.
Football update. Anyway, in terms of updates, a useful thing for people to know is where they can actually get bloody hold of us.
Well, that's a good point. Usually we put this at the end of the podcast, but we're going to give it a go at the beginning. So you can find us on Twitter. You just search Console Shock. You'll find us, got our little red logo there. You can find us on our website, consoleshock.net. You can find us on our YouTube, Console Shock, and you can search us on iTunes. Again, just type in Console Shock and you'll see our red and white logo pop up. And you'll be good to go.
So we got it in while the enthusiasm from the listener, high listener.
Yeah, high listener.
Relatively high. They all do it, don't they? Like we've mentioned before. We went live. Dan and Ravi do a nice little pop on there for their Patreon. Lasts about 2 minutes, so you actually got away there with just a few seconds of us trying to beg people to sign up to our sort of shit, which is pretty good going, I think, isn't it, Stu?
Yeah, we don't really want your money.
We just want your likes and your subs.
We want your subs, your likes, your comments,
talking of
your
likes,
follows.
Talking of likes, I guess it's not likes, but what was the last game you played?
Right. Well, I was talking to you about this on WhatsApp when I was a bit bored at work the other day. But I actually, last week I picked up, Split Second Velocity for the Xbox 360. And oh my God, it's such a good game.
That's a Metal Jesus Hidden Gems classic, isn't it?
Right, it is. He always talks about arcade races. And I think a few people have talked about this. And I think I got it for £3 or something. So I thought, well, what's the problem? Let's grab that, and I'll have a bit of fun on it, and just see what the fuss is about. And it's generally a really, really good game. And it just feels good. It just so much going on, and I'd highly recommend it.
Came out on everything, didn't it? I think I got the PSP version knocking around.
Was there
somewhere.
a PSP version?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there was a PSP version.
Oh, because I know obviously it came out on the PS3 as well. Came out on the PC. My system of choice at the moment is the Xbox 360, and I've actually packed away my Xbox One X, my PS4. They're all in the cupboard, and I've got my Xbox 360 set up. And I mean, there's just so many good games on there at the moment.
It's interesting, isn't it? We're going to talk about the 360 in depth, but I've actually, at the moment, I haven't really been playing anything particularly modern. In fact, this week, all I've been playing is my PlayStation 1, funnily enough. Just before we got on live here, I actually played a game we chatted about when we had Kim Justice on way ago. Is that slightly odd, very late port of International Superstar Soccer 2000?
Right,
came out for the PS1. I think, it was kind of the N64 game, ISS 2000. Yeah, they made a sort of a PS1 version. It's very good, and no one really knows about it. And it's very cheap to buy it on eBay. I think you went and grabbed a copy yourself. But
I did, yeah.
I think it's actually a hidden gem if you're into sports games. If you're very fond of the N64 style Konami football games. And you probably think, oh, they never did those on the PlayStation because they had their own ISS Pro series. Well, you're wrong. They actually ported ISS 2000 to the PlayStation. And despite the sort of the what you may think there was a big gap in performance between the N64 and the PlayStation, the game is very, very close to the N64. In fact, it's kind of easier to see because it's not a kind of the blurry mess that the sort of texture filtering that the N64 had causes, to sort of fudge everything out on the screen. So everything is sort of pin sharp because the PS1 didn't have texture filtering. And it is missing a few things. It's got there are some loading times. There used to be a little funny cutscene when you got a yellow card or something, or a red card, where a player would literally get the card. They aren't in there. It just sort of pops up with a graphic on the screen that you got a yellow card, and the crowd doesn't move. That's basically it. Everything else is intact, which is pretty cool. So yeah, if you did like the N64 ISS series and you've got a PlayStation, check out ISS 2000. Although it's not called that on the box, it's just called ISS to make it even more confusing.
Okay, now I'm on eBay at the moment.
Yeah, there's a few on there, I think.
Now, which one am I looking for here?
It's called International Superstar Soccer. It isn't called Pro, it isn't called 2000, 98, nothing.
Because I found ISS or International Superstar Soccer 98, and then is it ISS Pro Evolution Soccer?
No, it's not.
There's no Pro Evolution in there.
Just in ISS International Superstar Soccer. It's actually got the same to make it maybe a bit easier. It's got if you remember when the PS2 launched, that had a game called International Superstar Soccer, which is actually also a kind of a strange PS2 port of ISS 2000. It's got the same cover art as that. So if you can find, you'll probably be able to find that really easily because that's sold loads on the PS2.
Okay, that's the one that's got a couple of, it's sort of like green, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of a greenish with a stylized logo and some CG sort of footballers doing their thing.
Yeah,
it's that cover art, but on the PS1.
Right. Okay.
Because I remember seeing that in loads of places secondhand. I thought that must be some crap like ISS Pro Evolution 6 or something, because they just banged out a few of those near the end of the PS1's life cycle without actually changing it anything. So I never paid any attention. It was on a video on YouTube where someone said, "Hey, there's actually ISS 2000 on the PS1." I was like, "Wow, I had no idea." So I hunted a copy down and managed to get a brand new copy for like £5.
Yeah, there's one on here on eBay, $9.99.
There you go. Yeah. So you haven't got it then?
I don't think I have. No.
If you did like, did you actually like the N64 kind of football games?
I've got to give them more. The problem with football games is you go from one to the other, and the controls are just instantly different. The game ultimately looks the same, but then the controls are just like, oh no, what's this? What's that? And you press a button for it to run, and of course you're not running. You're doing something else. You're switching players, or you're passing the ball or something.
Well, the good thing about this sort of bizarre ISS 2000 PS1 port is they've just matched the controls to what Pro Evo is. The same controls that are around to this day. So if you've still got the, if you know how that controls, then you'll instantly be able to play this. They've sort of mapped the N64 controls to the PS1 pad, and they've just ended up. I think because they knew people would potentially be people that were playing the Pro Evolution, ISS Pro Evolution PS1 games. They thought, well, to make this a bit easier on people, let's just make sure the controls match.
Exactly.
Because even now, when I play FIFA, I use the ISS controls or the Pro Evo controls in FIFA, which is the isn't the default layout. It's like I have to switch it to the. I think it's just called alternate, where I think pass and shoot and cross are like the opposite buttons. Because my muscle memory is so Pro Evo focused, it drives me nuts if it's the other way around. So yeah,
well, that's it. I just can't be changing it, and then I always think, oh no, what if I'm out somewhere and I can't change the controls, so I sort of make myself get used to them, and then that's what I'll play for almost like the next year. So exactly, at the moment I'm at the the FIFA mode, and I spoke to you actually when we went to that Charlton game.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a funny story actually. I went to Woolwich first, so I thought, there's CX there, I can get some food, I can have a bit of a walk around.
I've told you about that CX as well. It's actually quite good for old stuff.
It's actually a really good one.
Yeah, it is.
But I got off at Woolwich Station, walked into the square, and there was a massive fight between a load of rival football fans. So I stood and watched that for a while.
Got Woolwich in a nutshell right there, right?
Yeah. So a lot of Charlton and I think Southend fans having a big Barney, and there's two policemen hitting them. And anyway, so I walked down the street and I found the CX, went in there, had a look round. I think I picked up Halo Reach actually, which I completed last Sunday, and that is a cracking game. Halo Reach, really 10 out of 10 game. Quick. Well, once you get going with it, and it's actually sort of I don't know, I probably put 7-8 hours into it, so it didn't really take too long. And then on the way to pick up the bus to go and see Charlton, there was cash converters. I went in there and they had a sign up saying all Xbox 360 games, 40 pence each.
That's
and
amazing.
I thought, right, okay, 40
literally all of them, regardless of the game.
Yeah, all of them, big bags full. And anyway, so I looked through the games and I found FIFA 06 Road to the World Cup, which we talked about it before. I've been looking for that for ages. Yeah. And I took it up to the counter, and they took this game in so long ago that the sticker on it said something like £30 because they took it in. But of course, then FIFA 07 came out, so no one brought FIFA 06. Then FIFA 08 came out, so of course no one brought FIFA 06, and so on. So it must have been sitting on their shelf for absolutely years. So I took it up to the counter. I said, I'll have this game, and the guy looked at the sticker, and then his colleague looked at it and goes, it says $29.99. But of course they knew it was such an old FIFA game.
Yeah.
And but so because the price on the sticker was so high and the price now they were selling them was so low, this would have, I don't know, made major warnings at head office that someone's trying to scam the system. They will have got reports coming left, right, and centre saying, "No, why is something for £30 and you're selling it for 40p? Is someone stealing this? They'll have an audit or something."
Yeah.
So the guy said to me, "Oh, you may well just have it." He just gave it to me. He gave it to me. It was easy for him to give me the game
and to process
rather than process it and take 40 pence off me, which obviously I would have paid for it. I would have paid £1 for it.
I used to bloody love cash converters. I mean, the Woolwich one obviously is actually not too bad, but
it was. I'd recommend going down there. And the thing with cash converters is sometimes they really don't know how to price things.
No, yeah.
You'll have something in there that's, oh my God, why is that? You're selling that for 50 quid. It's it's worth 10, mate. What are you doing? And then the other, actually, I went to Cash Converters the other day, and they had a new 2DS, all boxed up, a nice one for 50 quid. Yeah. And I was thinking, bloody hell, that'll go for 90 usually.
Easy, yeah.
Easily. So
it's funny, yeah, because I remember I used to love going to Cash Converters when I was sort of in my teens, and when sort of during the middle of like the 5th generation of consoles. I remember it must have been about 98. I think it got to the point where the Saturn was literally nearly or totally dead. I think maybe there was one more release coming out, PAL release, in like either at that point in time or later on. And they had they'd have a big game section. And it was at this point when the 5th generation consoles were starting to have a big like swathe of secondhand stuff happening. Because they'd been out for a few years now, and people were starting to trade stuff in and buy new stuff. The libraries had got quite big. So they were starting to sort of shove the Mega Drive and SNES stuff out now. I remember there was a big sort of shelves with then have the units, the actual consoles. They would just have them out. It wouldn't be like, sort of a picture. They'd just be on like the actual shelves. Remember, they had a Saturn in there for 50 quid. And I was like, that is mega cheap. I said, Dad, can you get me this? And he actually did. And that was how I got a Saturn. That was in 98. Already had an N64. And the PS1 was still like, they were selling them for like 80 quid. So they actually were more expensive, even though they were presumably way more common, because there was just way more millions of them were sold. Now it's the other way around. Like the standard grey sort of slab PS1, they're like, what, 30 quid?
Something like that, 20, 30 quid, yeah.
And I would say, I think a PAL Saturn, even a loose one, you're probably still looking at probably 60 or 70 quid in good nick. So it's kind of, weirdly, it's kind of turned around now. But yeah, it's just because there's obviously way more PlayStations in the wild, because there's just way more of them sold. I remember that there was about 3 or 4 Saturns, and there was like one PS1, and it was like cost twice as much, and they had a little selection of Saturn games, and they're practically all of them were International Victory Goal and like Fighting Vipers.
Yeah,
that game was
Fighting Vipers is all right, but
it is, yeah. International Victory Goal was like there was like a billion of them. There was it's actually a good game. It's the launch game, I think, in the UK for the Saturn. But yeah, there was loads of them, and it used to be a great place to go to get old stuff. It still is, really, but I think CX is my first choice. I think to get sort of video game related stuff, and that sort of takes us to the Xbox 360, which we're going to be discussing in depth. So, what was it like? I mean, from your point of view, when it was announced, and what were your sort of initial thoughts on it when sort of 2005 time?
Well, yeah, I mean, when the 360 was announced, it wasn't. Well, when it was announced, I didn't really sort of pick up on it too much. I was, that could be good, or it could be the PlayStation 3. But when it came out, what really sort of got me was the sort of the Xbox Live side of it.
Yeah.
And it was, oh wow, these games, how these really do look next level, and it was just sort of the whole sort of community side of it, and for me, it was just sort of a real sort of groundbreaking machine that just did. It felt like it did absolutely everything. It was, loads of power, and that's back in the day when consoles were actually more powerful than high-end PCs.
That's right, yeah.
For gaming,
probably the last generation where where that was the case, where on release there wasn't anything on the PC that was near an Xbox 360. But a year or two later, then that had completely changed. But initially, yeah, for that price as well.
For that price, and it came out, and it actually felt very reasonable. And to me, it was the Xbox 360 of the last generation. I've talked about this before. That was my my go-to machine. It was the 360. Yeah, I'll always get the games on the 360. Most of my friends had a 360. I remember in the shop, for every, we sold 2 PlayStation 3 games, but we sold 4 Xbox 360 games. It was always just so much more popular.
Yeah, it was. I think I remember, like, I was at uni at this point in time. I was in my second year, or it might have been my first year going into my second year, because I think it was announced it was that MTV special, wasn't it? That was the actual first ever. I can't remember. I don't think I saw that or watched it when that aired, like the night it aired. I think I probably saw some. I mean, YouTube had just started. I think someone maybe popped it on there, or saw someone, or there was some kind of streaming service. Maybe it was IGN that showed it after. I think I watched it. I think I watched it on that, and yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool. I was kind of amazed that they were actually announcing a new console, because the original Xbox, which I really liked, and I think I still had one at that point in time, was only like 4 years old. I mean, it came out in 2002 in the UK, and we had the 360 in 2005. So I don't know. I mean, for someone that, if there's someone that's in their sort of teens and 20s listening to this, that's like, the Xbox One came out in 2013. That's like, the next Xbox console coming out in 2015, or 2016, which would be like, what the hell? Well, I guess we kind of got that in a way with the Xbox One X, but in saying that, that is not the same thing, because it wasn't like it wasn't a different platform, the Xbox One X. It was just a boosted up
machine, and they really did that with the 360 as well, because you got the original Xbox, then you got the Pro one, then you got the Elite one, and okay, they didn't have more powerful processors, but they certainly had sort of more storage space and actually better performance, as in it wouldn't red light, or it wouldn't, you get an E84 error or something like that. So they did improve the hardware that way. But regarding a performance boost, no, they never did that. But to me, the Xbox 360 just had such an amazing launch.
I think the first thing that I saw that I was like, wow, this looks amazing, was probably when they showed that demo of Fight Night Round 3. And you saw like the character models on the box on the boxes, like they had the sweat, and like you saw one of them get hit in the face and their like skin rippled, and I thought it looked like something from a movie. It looked absolutely amazing, and I was like, that's going to be in the game. It wasn't a CG cutscene or something. And I thought, wow, that looks absolutely stunning. And also, this would be running in, way high, like 720p. I didn't really have a handle on what 720p and 1080p kind of was or meant. I just knew there was a HD.
I wasn't sort of quite sure at the time. And when I first had my 360, I had it going into a regular TV, a regular standard definition TV.
Same here, yeah.
It was probably 6 months till I got a HD TV. And then I couldn't experience 1080p because I had the original one, which didn't have a HDMI port on there. So it was, I still had it just through components. And that was sort of the way I played it for absolutely ages.
I can't remember. I think like it came out in November, didn't it? 2005. And
that's right, yeah.
I mean, I didn't pre-order one or get one on launch or anything. I think I was... I think I bought a PSP recently, just before the Xbox. The PSP came out in September 2005, I think, in the UK. So I think I spent all my money on that, and I loved that. I still do to this day. The PSP is an amazing,
yeah.
And then it was amazing because I was like, wow, I can play like actual, Virtua Tennis and bloody Ridge. Well, basically, Ridge Racer and Wipeout were just kept you going for months on their own. So so weirdly enough, the Xbox 360 launch, I knew it'd come out, I was following it, but I wasn't like falling over myself to buy one. And I think my mate John, hi John, if you're listening, he got one. That might not have been in November, or I don't think I knew anybody that actually got one on launch. I think it was a few months after that I sort of encountered a real life one. I think I probably played a kiosk or something in game. It was probably something like that was my first actual experience with the 360.
Well, for me, I was never, the Xbox original, it was a powerful machine, but at the time, I like the GameCube, I like the PS2. They were my two main machines. So I wasn't a super fan of the original Xbox. So going on to the Xbox 360, it's going to be more of the same. But as I was sort of saying before, is the launch title, things like Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Call of Duty 2, or maybe Perfect Dark. There seemed to be sort of so many sort of good games on there, and you just knew that it was almost another 6 months until the PlayStation 3 came out. So in all that time, the Xbox 360 just had it really just had a sort of it got a lead over it, and that was the first time I actually started working in Chips down in Ashford. If people ever go to Ashford, they remember that. I think it's called the Consulting Gamer now. And when I was down there,
Interesting name.
Yeah, everyone had an Xbox 360, and every night we'd play online with the customers, and got a really sort of good community, and we'll play games on there. And it was just we really did push the Xbox 360, because we sort of genuinely believed this is where gaming is. This is the Xbox Live, and then the achievements as well. And
exactly, yeah.
And it was just, oh man, I've got to get more achievements. Oh, my mate's got more than me, and there was just so much pressure on there to beat the other guy, and so on.
Yeah, it's a great thing with the achievements. Actually, I used to be quite sort of snobby about them, thinking, "Oh, what does it mean having a silly little number?" Yeah. But now, I find it's really good fun going back to an old game that you maybe already beaten, and just trying to get some of the achievements, like old football games. I think I mentioned it before, but like going back to some of the old FIFAs and just trying to get some of the achievements, like score 10 goals in a game and stuff.
Yeah,
And it's funny because we're talking about. Like Pat and Ian talk about Danny Sullivan's Indie Heat. I think FIFA 06 on 360 is our Indie Heat, because we keep talking about it. But actually, because it was one of those early it was a launch game for the Xbox 360, FIFA 06. Very strange title, because just to sort of recap for anybody that doesn't know, but it was made by DICE, as in Star Wars Battlefront 2, 1 and 2 as in the recent ones, and Battlefield, and Pinball Dreams and Illusions on the Amiga. They made one sports game, and it's FIFA 06. They ported the sort of PS2 and original Xbox to the 360, and it kind of runs on like a boosted up version of the same sort of engine, because it plays very similarly to the previous gen versions, but with just sort of HD graphics. But with the graphics, they had all these extra features available to them now, and they kind of just went a bit mental. They're like, all the players look like they're covered in slime, because they've got kind of this sort of, what they probably think it looks realistic at the time, but it looks kind of shit now.
Yeah, sort of go back to it. It just feels so...
As well as a bloom and
shimmering and stuff, yeah.
And the frame rate is awful on the replays. Yeah. And I think all that stuff is the frame rate on the cutscenes is horrendous. The gameplay is all right. The frame rate's fine. Then it's like 60 frames a second. But yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. It hasn't got any of the club teams. It hasn't got career mode. It's just the World Cup, qualifying for the World Cup. And the thing about it is, it's actually quite enjoyable a game to play. It got completely panned when it came out, just because I think it had so much stuff cut out. I think if they kept exactly the same gameplay and setup and everything, but just with all the same features, people would have thought it was all right. But yeah, the interesting thing about it when it comes to achievements is they're quite easy to get. There's only 6 achievements, and it's literally like a couple of them are just like win a game, and another one is like just qualify for the World Cup, which takes about an hour if you sort of reduce the how long each half goes on for, and you get like 500G for that.
Yeah.
So you could easily get like massively boost up your gamer score from that game. Powering through it.
Talking about achievements, it's funny how these early games, some of them were just absolutely ridiculously hard for getting achievements, and people didn't know what to do with them. That Microsoft must said, okay, now you've got to do some achievements. You got 1,000 points, and then some people are thinking, what we've got to do achievements? Okay, right, win a match, win 10 matches, score an own goal. And they'll give just stupid amounts of sort of points to sort of different things, which are really sort of quite easy to do. And then you sort of now, I think there's a lot more sort of structure to it, because I know if I complete an Xbox One game or a 360 game, if I've done the story, I'll probably get about 300 points out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about right. If I do the online as well and I get to a high level, I'll probably get a bit more. And then you got all the secret ones to sort of make you play it again and do this and do that. And
yeah, I remember when I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5 and I got knocked. I was just on a jet ski, just like messing around in the ocean. And I got knocked off the jet ski, or I jumped off. I can't remember what I did. And a shark killed me, and I unlocked an achievement.
Oh, wow.
If you get killed by a shark, it unlocked an achievement. And like in Alien Isolation, if you die 100 times, that also unlocks an achievement. I didn't unlock it, actually, so I managed to not die that much, which is amazing. It's a really hard game, and you die a lot. But yeah, so there were some fun ones as well. But yeah, it's a really good system. And when you think like the PS3 didn't get any kind of, I mean, obviously people think of trophies quite, really sort of synonymous now with the PlayStation brand. But that didn't arrive on the PS3. It wasn't on launch. It was like about 3 years later, or a couple of years later, that trophy support came. And like I mentioned recently about playing Ridge Racer 7 and how that's a really awesome racing game on the PS3, because that was a launch game. There's no trophies on that, and they didn't retroactively.
I thought they might have gone back and, put some in there, but I'm sure no one's really.
No, I can imagine it might take a fair bit of engineering to do it, right? Because you got to have like a script sort of running in the background that picks up when you've triggered a particular thing. So I can imagine it's not a simple task to do. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of become a thing now that people expect as achievements. People will have a go at the Nintendo online, don't they? And it kind of does annoy me because I'll get a Switch version of a game a lot of the time now because it's an easier way to play a game because you can just play it anywhere. But you're thinking, God, I've just completed that game on Switch. If that was Xbox, I would have boosted my gamer score up by so much.
It's quite funny. In my opinion, I thought I did have a PS3. I picked up one, later on, and then I got the Wii and other systems, and it will always frustrate me. I'm wasting my time here because I'm not getting achievements by playing these games.
It's fun,
and somehow the fun of a game wasn't actually playing the game. It was getting the achievements, but I don't know, sort of. Yeah, it was odd. But what was your favourite launch title?
Oh God, what came out? Perfect Dark Zero, Cameo, FIFA 06.
I remember Call of Duty 2.
Call of Duty 2, yeah. Was there a racing game? There was a few. There was a fair few.
Project Gotham.
Let's have a look.
Well, while you're looking, I'm going to say my favourite. I think it was actually Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty 2 and Project Gotham.
It was a good port. I think actually. Here we go. I've got them right here. Condemned. Criminal.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I don't think I really played any of them. The only one I would have played is probably FIFA 06. Really. Need for Speed Most Wanted. I think a lot of them I played probably a version that was on the previous generation. So I didn't really play. Probably Ridge Racer 6.
Because I mean, let's go through the list here. You got Amped 3, Call of Duty 2, and that's my one. Condemned, not my type of game, to be honest. FIFA 06, we've talked about that at length. Gun, which is, again, that was just a PS2 game and a little bit of high res. Cameo, I couldn't quite get my head around that.
Rare game, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Madden, I'm sure you love that one.
I didn't play that one on not on the 360. Not on the 360. I probably played it on something else.
Okay, then you got NBA 2K6, NBA Live 06, Need for Speed Most Wanted. Again, that was just a PS2 game.
Yeah.
NHL 2K6, Perfect Dark 0.
Crap.
Yeah, it just that gave me motion sickness. The only game ever to give me motion sickness.
A very strange field of view, wasn't it? That was
Yeah, I actually want to go back to playing it and see if it still does. So Then you got Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie.
That's the one.
Yeah, and I think I did get quite far in that because I knew there was lots of achievements, but I just got pissed off with it. It was just I don't know, didn't like it. Project Gotham Racing 3, that was awesome because I loved them. The Metropolis Street Racer game on the Dreamcast.
The first one on the Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. They were great games. Quake 4, I picked that up recently, and
best thing about it is you get Quake 2 with it.
Do you really?
Well, assuming that the place you got it from, remember to put the disc, the second. It was 2 discs.
Yeah.
One is actual Quake 4, and there's a second disc that's a port of Quake 2.
Okay.
And it's good. The Quake 2 port is like really, really good. It's sort of it runs at 1080p. I think it's the first Xbox 360 game to do that. And you can play multiplayer. It's really good if you like Quake 2.
Yeah,
it's not like a remake. It's just the same assets from the PC, but it looks really good. So yeah, if you've got that game, it's kind of I played Quake 2 more than Quake 4 because Quake.
Exactly. I think I want to go back. So I know I've got Quake 4. So I picked that up again from a cash converters for £1 or something, and I had a little bit of fun with it. Ridge Racer 6.
Yeah, that's my fave. Yeah, it's a good game, a really good Ridge Racer. Yeah.
Tiger Woods 06 and Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
Pretty good. A lot of sports games.
Do you know what I mean? That to me is, if I was buying an Xbox 360, it came out today, and that was a list of games. I think I could easily get 4 or 5 out of those.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah,
be very happy with them.
I probably would have got
and a good mix of games as well.
Yeah, I would have got Call of Duty, FIFA, probably Madden, Quake 4, Ridge Racer 6, Project Gotham. Yeah, it'd be probably Perfect Dark. Not knowing that, thinking,
not knowing it was shit.
Yeah, probably what a lot of people did, right? But yeah, that's a really good sort of, bundle of games. And if you compare like the PS3 launch games, I bought a PS3 sort of in October of 2007. So that was sort of a few months after it came out. It came out, I think, in March 2007 here. So on that, you had Blazing Angels, which I never played. Call of Duty 3, yeah, that was all right. Genji, Days of the Blade, never played that.
Not my thing.
And NFL 07, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire, NBA 2K7, NHL 2K7, Resistance Fallen Man, yeah, played that a lot. It was quite good. And Ridge Racer 7, yeah, that'll be my favourite. Brilliant game. Tiger Woods, Tony Hawk's Project 8. I kind of didn't bother with Tony Hawk's after sort of
not my thing.
3, I think. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, I think. So kind of similar actually. It was just like the next year of sports games and Ridge Racer 7 instead of 6.
But did you? I remember as soon as it came out. I mean, I had chips in Orpington, not in Orpington, down back in Ashford, and the machine came out, and almost a week later, a few people came back in and they were reporting these. Oh, I've got 3 red lights. I've got 1 red light. I've got. Oh, it's just stopped working.
I think I got to for me. So my experience of owning a 360, I've had kind of 2 goes at it.
Yeah,
the current one I'm in is the second one. But the first time, I just got an urge to buy a 360. I can't remember if I traded in my original Xbox or I just had the cash. But some of the core systems were filled like Game Station, where I lived in Clacton-on-Sea. And the core system was already, which is the one now people might not remember this, but there was 2 SKUs. There was the 360 core system that didn't have a hard drive and had a wired controller, which is a lot cheaper. It was like 209 quid, I think. And there was the Pro version, or the I can't remember if that had a proper name. I think it was just the Pro.
The Pro, yeah, Pro and the Core, yeah.
That had a 20 gig hard drive and a wireless controller. So you paid a premium. I think that was $299. You paid an extra sort of 80, 90 quid to get a hard drive and a wireless controller. But I thought, sod that. I'll just get the basic one. I'm not too bothered about a hard drive or a wireless controller just yet. So I picked one of them up in Game Station. And it must have been about 170, 180 quid second hand at that point in time. God, it makes you realise, doesn't it? They're like about 30 now of a second hand shop. Especially you won't even find those models anymore because they'll all be dead.
They'll all be
red
broken.
Ring. But yeah, I took it home. I think I got 2006 FIFA World Cup, which is a really good football game, the first kind of good one, and Superman Returns. Weirdly, because I'm a Superman fan, so I thought that film had just come out and the game had come out. This must have been about August, September 2006. So it's been out for about 10 months. And I was playing it and I really enjoyed it. And it red ringed. So I took it back. This was after about a week of using it.
Yeah.
Took it back to Game Station. They gave me another one. That red ringed. And I tried one more time, I think, at Game Station. And that red ringed as well. So eventually I was just like, sod it. Took it back. Got my money back. And I went to Dixon's probably the same day or maybe a week later, and I bought a PS3. So I was like, "Oh, sod this! Microsoft would fuck their console up. I'm just going to get a PS3." And yeah, I had to get a loan to get it. I did a finance option because it was 500 quid.
Oh my god!
23, 24. So I didn't have a big job or anything. I think I was just left uni. I took a finance option out on it because it was 500 quid, but you got 2 controllers and you got a Resistance Fallen Man and MotorStorm and a 60 gig PS3. And I was pretty chuffed with that, and that lasted till 2011 when it died. Yellow Light of Death. That was a pretty good run at, actually.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But what was I sort of know, but you're maybe better describing it than me. But what was the reason? Were they just overheating, or?
So yeah, I think it was the thermal paste that connected the fan to the CPU would overheat just because of there was not much room in the case because the thing was smaller than an original Xbox. Amazingly, not by a huge amount, but it was smaller. Yeah. And that would cause the thermal paste to melt, and it would stop the heat from dissipating off the CPU, and it would literally start to melt the CPU, and it would just die because of that. And probably the CPU and the GPU both would die, and you'd get a red light of death. Or it was like it was just the heat, the lack of heat, good heat management would cause them to die very quickly. And it was a big issue, wasn't it? I mean, it cost them billions of pounds.
I mean, it cost. I think they did. I mean, at first they were like, "Oh no, it's only 1% of machines. That's within our, that's the normal." But of course, it happened again to everyone. Literally, you weren't a gamer if it didn't happen to you at least twice. And so they actually came out and said, we've really effed up here. For the next 3 years, any problems, just send us the machine and we'll send you back a refurbished or a brand new machine. And that's what I did. And mine was a second-hand one. And they still honoured that. And, so...
They did the best. They did a really good job because it didn't really suffer too badly, really. I don't think they missed out on millions of sales. I think it kind of carried on ticking over fairly well. And then they released the Elite, which in 2007, which kind of, I think was maybe a reaction to the PS3.
Because it had the bigger storage.
Had the bigger storage, actually more than what the PS3 had, and at the time, and it had the wireless controller was default, and the Xbox 360 controller is like the perfect controller.
Definitely,
I prefer it to the Xbox One controller. On my PC, I still use the 360 controller. I've got about bloody 10 of them lying around the house. I've got like a couple of pink ones. I've got a red one. I've got a gold one. I've got a chrome purple one. I've got a chrome red one, chrome blue one. They get very addictive collecting them. I'm not quite Kinsey level from.
Oh, she's got them all, hasn't she?
Got them all, yeah. But they're so cheap. I don't know, you can get them like 15 quid or 20 quid. But yeah, great controller. A sort of a direct descendant of, I would say, the Saturn 3D pad, really. You can see the evolution from that to the 360 pad. Yeah, really great controller. And because it's sort of 2.4 gigahertz, it's not Bluetooth, I find that it's a little bit more reliable. And a lot of people complained about the fact it used batteries. But because I just have a bunch I always have a bunch of rechargeable batteries lying around. I actually prefer that to having a built-in battery because those batteries die.
Well, saying that, I think I was chatting to you on WhatsApp the other day about. So I was planning. Oh, I'm going to get my my PS3. I'm going to set that all up and play some of that. And I found the controller and hit the button. Oh, there's no power in it. Okay, so I charged it. Hold on, it's not working. And so I'm assuming it's the battery has just died.
Battery cycled, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, well, I can't just put new batteries in it. I've got to buy a kit off eBay, which and do all of this and do all of that.
Pain,
it's a real pain, but
they're fiddly to open as well. Bits fall out and everything. I've kind of got it down to a fine art myself, but you have to buy the battery off eBay, yeah. And make sure you get a good one, not a knockoff Chinese one that might blow up. But yeah, weirdly enough, my original 6-axis controller, as in not a DualShock 3, just a 6-axis, that battery's fine, and that's like from 2007. That's like a launch model controller, and that one's fine. But I've had DualShock 3s. I think the battery lasts a little bit longer in a 6-axis because there's no.
Yeah, you haven't got the vibration, have you?
Yeah.
So that takes more power to do all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably had less recharge cycles because of that. But that's not a problem with the 360 controllers. You just get yourself some rechargeable batteries. Same with the Xbox One controllers. And you're fine. I don't even bother with those battery packs because they're the same kind of thing. They'll die eventually. Just get some.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because a little while ago, I was actually trying to get these battery packs because I had to play my Xbox 360. I'd have to have the wire going across the living room, and that just pisses my girlfriend off. So I want a quiet life. So I thought, okay, I'll try and buy, one of the official Microsoft batteries, and. I think I bought one off eBay. I bought one in a computer game shop, and neither of them really held a charge.
Yeah,
more than sort of 2 minutes. But
yeah, basically get yourself, those little packs you get them in supermarkets where you get sort of really good Duracell rechargeable batteries with the charger pops in the wall.
Yeah,
and you're sorted. If the battery dies, quickly grab another pair, stick them in there. And you know that those controllers will be good for years because, forever really, for as long as you're alive, potentially, because you won't have to be opening them up. And they're very easy to swap out. I mean, I've had a couple where the thumbsticks got worn. They're actually quite easy to open, and you can just switch out the thumbsticks. A lot of
really?
make replacements, yeah. I remember a couple of times I've bought like some of the weird colours 360 controllers, but they've got to me. Or I've done a gamble off CEX online. I thought, they've got that blue controller that I've wanted to get. I'll grab it, and then I've got it, and the thumbsticks are super worn down. I've just gone on eBay, and people sell the replacement thumbsticks for a couple of quid, and just switch those out, and they're brilliant then. And then really easy, really great controllers, and then let's say 2007 they brought the Elite out, and that's the thing when they updated the motherboard, wasn't it? So it kind of stopped the red ring issue.
I think they had the Jasper.
That's the one, yeah.
So it very quickly became a lot more reliable machine, and they added in the HDMI port. But I think I've watched a few. I love watching videos sort of about the Xbox 360. But when they talk about, we talked about the launch lineups, and then the best looking game on the 360 to me is Grand Theft Auto 5. Other people might say, oh, no, and this one's a bit better. But you've got to admit, the Grand Theft Auto 5 is an amazing looking game. And if you look at the original lineup of games for the 360, then 8 years later, games like Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, which had so much depth.
Like a different generation.
It was just, and I sound like a broken record, but I've said this before. I remember I had my PlayStation 4 pre-ordered, and I was, really looking forward to it. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. So I was sat in there playing it. I think I said to my girlfriend, God, this game looks so good. There's so much depth in it. You can do this. You can fly off there. It looks amazing. It's like being in a real city. The story's great. It feels really good. I absolutely love this game. And I thought, I think I'm wasting blooming 400 quid getting myself a PS4. Why am I even bothering?
Yeah.
This, you can't get gaming better than this.
Yeah, I mean, those sort of in between years that we had, where we had the sort of 8th generation was well on its way, or was actually already going, and was sort of became the standard, and the 360 and the PS3 were still being supported. There was some of the games that were cross-platform then, like one I talk about a lot is Alien Isolation. So I played it on the PC and completed it, and then I saw the 360 version cheap. I'll sod it, I know the game pretty well, so I'll grab it on the 360. It'll probably look like crap, but I'll be able to get all the achievements in it and all that because I've already played it on the PC. But it looked awesome. Obviously it didn't look as good as the PC, but you wouldn't really tell unless you put two TVs next to each other. It looked brilliant. I mean, and that was a game that wouldn't have been developed at all on the 360. It would have been literally ported to the 360. And some of those late games that came out,
I think the Tomb Raider as well, that looked absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that Rise of the Tomb Raider came out on the Xbox 360. That's probably the last big game. And I mean, obviously, when Uncharted 3 come out, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, the Xbox 360 would never be able to do anything looks as good as this." And we were probably all a bit like, "Yeah, you're probably right," but no. I mean, compare Rise of the Tomb Raider to Uncharted 3. I would argue that it looks better. Because that game is literally like squeezing every last drop of the 360 power out of the developers managed to squeeze all that out of it. It looks really good, and it's a rock solid 30 frames a second. And if you see it knocking around secondhand, grab it because it's a really good version of the game. It isn't really compromised at all. It's the same game as the PC and the Xbox One, just a few little bits dialed down in terms of the graphics.
Yeah. Another one that stands out, actually, I played a while ago, is Halo 4.
Yes.
And that had, great fast-paced gunplay. It had the huge open world sort of cinematic parts. It was such an amazing game. And I mentioned earlier that, Halo Reach, that was so good. But you can really see the difference between Halo Reach, which I think came out in 2011, not quite sure if I'm right, and then Halo 4, which maybe came out sort of 2 years later.
Yeah.
And that was still like, oh God, they've turned things up from 8 to 10. This looks absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, you could compare as well, like Call of Duty 2 was a launch game.
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, there was Black Ops 3, but that didn't have the single player.
No, don't look at the graphics of that game.
But Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, that looks brilliant on the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Same campaign. Again, that was probably a game that wasn't developed at all on the Xbox 360. It would have been ported from the Xbox One and PS4. Still runs at 60 frames a second. Looks brilliant. And again, comparing that. Okay, people will compare it to the 8th gen versions and they'll be like, it looks like crap. I don't think it really does. I think it still holds up. But compare that to, Call of Duty 2. Again, it looks like a different generation. It looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, obviously, they couldn't be asked with Black Ops 3 and they just kind of slapped together.
Black Ops, I saw a video and actually I did pick up Black Ops 3.
Yeah, I've got it on the 360 as well.
I've got it on the 360 and I've also got it on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And I thought, so I like comparing things. So I played it on the 360 and it was quite funny because there was videos online of people playing, look at all the effects and how good Modern Warfare 2 looks. Oh, it's got this, it's got this. And then when you play Black Ops 3, it's like, oh, you go into the room and there's nothing on the wall. It's just painted beige.
It's really weird, isn't it? Because it should be pushing the 360 at all.
It shouldn't, and it doesn't push it. It's, it almost looks more comparable to Call of Duty 2 rather than like the Modern Warfare games or the Advanced Warfare games or anything like that.
I mean, the frame rate is all over the place, which it shouldn't be. When there's not a lot. Graphically, there's not enough to justify that.
Exactly.
It's way worse than Advanced Warfare that came out the year before. I mean, they probably could have put the campaign on there. I think they just didn't want to put the money in. I mean, let's be honest, you could put any of the campaigns on the 360 out of any Call of Duty that's been out since. It would be styled down graphically, but there's nothing about the I don't know, kind of the engine that is literally impossible. You know what I mean? Like porting to the Mega Drive would be. I mean, you could almost like there was things that you could have done that were done on the PS2 that you probably could do on the PS1. Like story wise, it would be intact, but it would just look worse. But it could be done.
A few more pixels, a few more jaggy lines, a lower resolution.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, Grand Theft Auto 100% impossible." Grand Theft Auto 3 100% impossible on PS1. It was like, well, Driver is mostly Grand Theft Auto, right? Especially 2. Okay, get out. Well, you do get out your car in Driver 2.
Yeah.
So you could maybe all the characters would have to be sprites and not 3D people, but you could kind of do it. So they could have done it. I think it was that point in time when it wasn't worth the money.
Exactly.
And we're saying it's actually still supported. Obviously, FIFA 19 and Just Dance came out, and we may get another year of that. I don't think we will. I think that was the end.
Well, I think it still comes down to things like the Brazilian market, in Africa, and because I always remember sort of going, talking about the shop again. There'd always be guys coming in from Ghana, and they had a scam, not a scam going on, a way to make a little bit of extra money. They would buy as many Xbox 360s as I had, and on the shelf there were 50 quid. I'll do all of them for 40 quid each. The guy will be absolutely happy, and then he would send them all to Ghana, and so.
Hey, I've got FIFA 19 on the 360, and I play it because it's bloody good fun. Because it's I know they've literally they haven't actually updated anything since 17, but it's because obviously they've given up developing, for the 360.
Is it more fun than buying the Xbox One, the PS4, or the PC version?
You know what it is? It's basically it's that generation of FIFA, but perfected. Because over the years it evolved and it got to that perfect point, which is I guess FIFA 17, where they stopped developing it. So you got that perfected gameplay. Whereas the ones that are currently on the 8th gen systems, still good fun, but it's kind of it's still being developed and things are being dialed up and dialed down. So it's not really the finished article. It probably won't be until they're dying out. And FIFA 22 is their last game. So it's just like you can go back to it, you can dive in. It's that gameplay that you've been playing for years that's really fun. Except it's got the current squads, which is kind of cool. I mean, don't buy it for 40 quid or whatever it is. but
no. I always laugh at you for buying it, but I did buy Pro Evolution 2014 on the PS2, and I probably bought that for 20-25 quid.
Oh, yeah, people are going crazy over that now, though.
Yeah, and I'm well pleased I've got it. It does look a really good game, and I'd highly recommend people pick it up. But for the same reason that you played that, it's still a good game. It still stands up.
What I would love is if I want the Xbox 360 to get another year of FIFA and maybe Just Dance, just because it'll mean it'll beat the PS2.
Oh, that's good.
When you think about it, the PS2 came out in sort of March 2000, and its last game was sort of September 2013. That's sort of that's just a shade over 13 years, isn't it? So I think with the Xbox 360 coming out in November 2005, and we've had what may be the last game already in sort of September 2018, we will get to 15 years. And then I think it's 14 years the PS2, isn't it? We'll get to 15 years with the 360 if we get a FIFA 20.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's probably at its last one.
Oh, I don't know. It could do.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
Yeah.
It won't be able to beat the Master System, but nothing will ever beat that. It's still having games come out. But, but yeah, it would be great if it beat the PS2 to beat the record. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to see.
We talked about, I don't know, all the good things about the 360. Now, the one thing that I really just couldn't get my head round, and I had no time for at all, you know what I'm probably going to say here, was the Kinect.
Oh yes.
What's your thought of the Kinect?
It's got a very. I think it was a cool device. I think it's got a niche really in sort of fitness stuff. Really,
yeah.
I think if they kind of, and I guess it kind of did end up doing that in the end, but it's now completely dead on the Xbox One as well. I mean, my girlfriend swears by it. She's actually, it's a great thing to keep you fit. You could do basically a lot of the stuff you would end up doing in a gym in terms of cardio sort of stuff, but it's better than a DVD because you get feedback. So from that perspective, it's really cool for those sort of things, and obviously Just Dance and stuff like that. And in some ways, it was better than the Wiimote because you haven't got to hold anything. But it's even so, you have to get that lens to put on it that Nikon made, so you don't have to use up so much of your living room space because it demanded quite a lot to be able to see you. Really cool bit of tech. I wouldn't say it was like a 32X or something because it was supported.
No. It's more like a sort of an accessory. But
yeah,
I remember. I don't know when it came. And still to this day, and this is me being awkward or anything, but I've never tried one. And
there was nothing for me to play on it. There was nothing for me to play on it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's quite funny when you see some games around a certain period, and you'll probably know, all had this slogan at the top: "Better with Kinect."
Yeah, it's like
FIFA,
NBA.
better with Kinect.
Yeah.
Dead Space 3, better with Kinect.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Train
Simulator, better with Kinect. How are they better with Kinect?
I've never tried any of them with the Kinect.
Well, it would have been better with the Kinect.
You got one? Apparently.
Apparently so. Yeah.
Have you got one?
I haven't. No, I've never.
They're £10 now, aren't they, or something? If you actually went and bought one, because so many people bought them. It was the biggest selling consumer device ever for a bit, wasn't it, or something? You had a crazy initial push.
Well, actually, I've got a question for you. What was the best-selling game on the Xbox 360?
Well, I've surprised you before by telling you that Rayman is the best-selling PS1 game in the UK. So I think it'd be something like that. It'd be some kind of oddball thing. Halo 3.
That's a good guess.
Oh no, it'll be GTA 5, surely.
No. The best-selling game on the Xbox 360 is Kinect Adventures, selling 24 million as a packing game for the Kinect.
It must have sold more than Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm saying it's difficult to get.
I mean, this is what it says on Wikipedia.
Yeah, so GTA 5 is you probably can't get what it just sold just on the 360. It'll be like Xbox One and PS4 because obviously it came out on that as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I remember that sold let's see reception.
The amount of people that would buy it the morning it came out, play through the campaign, and then return it in the evening. Kids. Grand Theft Auto 5, I heard about that happening. Oh, here we go. Oh, just for a laugh, I did look up on CEX how much a Kinect costs. £4.
£4.
But the Xbox One Kinect is 30.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people still want the Xbox One Kinect, or maybe they want that, and then you can mod it to have a USB adapter on the end, or you can buy the adapter and you can use it on your PC.
Yeah, there's loads of funny little projects, isn't there?
Yes, you can do, and for some reason, lots of people, or a niche of people, like to do that, which is a little bit odd, but
you've got. I mean, there's a few that look interesting, like Steel Battalion. There was a Kinect version, so I guess that means you don't have to use a giant controller to get. There's a bowl. Oh, there you go, Brunswick Bowling. That's the only game you need, isn't it? If it's as good as the actually, it might be a bit naff one. The 360, the problem with the Kinect was it wasn't accurate enough, was it? Games that would sort of want you like this Kinect Star Wars kind of debacle. Games that want you to do very precise movements, but the Kinect wasn't up to capturing them.
Exactly, yeah.
Or it took your cat to jump in front of it or something. The best example I played, I think, of it was Connect Sports Rivals on the Xbox One. I played like the jet ski and the football game, and that was actually really accurate. And what I did, I matched up really well to the game. But that was on the Xbox One. But yeah,
well, that's it. When the Xbox One came out, it's Connect 2.0, or it can, do so much more. But it actually annoyed me because I know a lot of people have the Connect, and I'm almost saying the opposite as what I said before is people will come in and go, oh, I like the Connect. I've got an Xbox One. I want to get a Connect game. And what was there? Connect Sports Rivals?
Yeah. Sports
and that Fighters Within.
On the Xbox One, yeah.
That's all I can think of. I'm sure there was 10 others, but there really wasn't many.
Yeah,
the Just Dance games, of course, but there wasn't many games for that peripheral. They really did. They forced everyone to have it. They forced everyone to buy it. Then they dropped it.
Yeah, I mean, the Xbox One didn't really get anything. I mean, the Xbox 360, got about, I would say, about 50 games that were dedicated.
Yeah, they got loads of games for it. They really gave it a good go. But if anything, they did it better on the Xbox 360 because it was, this is a fun add-on you can get. And if you got some kids and you do party games, it's fun. You can have it if you want it. If you want to buy this, if you buy into it, you can have it. You'll have great fun. If you like the dancing games, brilliant. It's the app for you. But then when it came to the Xbox One, they really just, the fact that the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, they don't even have the socket on the back. So even if you go and buy one, you can't use it.
I mean, it's cool technology, but it's just, I mean, it would never have happened if it wasn't for the Wii. If there wasn't a motion controller and that blew up the way it did, they wouldn't have bothered. And maybe the Kinect technology was always around, but it just would have ended up being used for like medical stuff, and which I think it is anyway. It would never have gone into I mean, in terms of those sort of add-on things, I think the most successful one has been the PSVR because it's genuinely adds something to gaming. And sort of, there games can be adapted to it. Whereas the Kinect, you can never really do that. So, it's. I mean, a Kinect combined with a VR would be great if it meant you didn't have to have a big old cable or hold a couple of dildos in your hand like you have to do with the PS4.
Yeah.
But I think when you get to PS5, the headset will be wireless, and you probably won't need like a controller, or they'll strap something to your arms or something. But yeah, it's nowhere near as good as like the PS4 the VR. It was kind of in between, isn't it? It's in between a 32X like complete disaster of an add-on and a PSVR, which is a genuinely good, thing that is now quite successful. I think it's kind of in between. It's had decent support, and it's still got a use for exercising with, if that's your thing. But yeah, mostly not a success.
And I think the final failure it had, the sort of last little topic we'll talk about, so I'm getting quite hungry now, as I'm sure you are, is why did the Xbox 360 fail so miserably in Japan?
Because they don't like American consoles, basically.
But they all buy the... what's it called? The iPhones, and they love American culture.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, isn't it? I mean, I remember reading about when Seamus Blackley went to Japan to promote the Xbox, and there's just a big bias against it, and they were like, "Oh, here it is what it looks like," and they were like, "Oh, you can't make the console black." And they were like, "Why?" "Oh, because black means death in Japan." And it was like, "But the PS2 is black." And then they were like, "Oh, you can't call it X, because why? Because it's good. Because it's X is bad in Japan."
Well, that's basically
that's the PlayStation. And what part is an X?
X means no.
Yeah, exactly.
The symbol of the X. So if you look at the original controller that went on the Japanese one, the main action button is the circle. It's the opposite way round, and the X is the other button.
And it's been like that since like the PS1.
Yeah, so it's to them it's like it's been called like the crap box, the no box.
They get a Project Diva on it. There you go, or like Mahjong, and you're good to go. But yeah, I mean, they made a bit of an effort, didn't they? They kind of got like Tecmo to make a bunch of games, and they
had quite a few RPGs, didn't they? They had Lost Odyssey,
Blue Dragon,
and Blue Dragon,
Dead or Alive 4, Ninja Gaiden. It just didn't. It's funny because it managed to basically, the PS3 kind of caught it up in the end, and they're kind of about neck and neck in the end. Maybe the Xbox 360 just shaded it, although I think everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, the PS3 won now." I don't think it did, but it's only the only reason why it did that is because the Xbox 360 sold nothing really in Japan. If the 360 sold moderately good. I'm not talking like massive amounts, but just a decent amount. It would have won the last gen because it's really the lack of sales in Japan that have caused the sales figures to be what they are. I mean, it sold like over 80 million units, and I think what does a successful console sell in Japan on its own?
I don't know, 10 million.
Something like that, perhaps. So yeah, let's say it did sell 10 million in Japan, it would have beaten the PS3 worldwide by probably 10 million units.
I picked up something on the Wikipedia page that I thought was quite interesting. It sold 1.5 million in Japan, but in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, they sold 13.7 million Xbox 360s, including UK sales. And of those 13.7 million, 8 million of them were in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I always hear that the UK is the third biggest video game market in the world. And I've had people say, "Oh, it's so weird, isn't it?" Well, not really, because when you think about it, we have such a big history with games. I mean, going way back, also, the 70s and the 80s, the bedroom coders and the Sinclair ZX Spectrum and all those sort of BBC Micro. Our history with that stuff is just as rich as the Japanese and the Americans. And other countries, I'm not saying other countries didn't do any of that stuff, but with video games especially, some of the biggest companies going that make video games had origins in the UK. I mean, Rockstar,
Rockstar,
now, and Rare, and Codemasters still going, of course. So yeah. It's Argonaut, also that's kind of ended up being, turning into like Nintendo, a part of Nintendo. But yeah, it's funny actually about the sales. I just quickly looked. PS3 sold 10 million in Japan. So yeah, that's kind of, if the 360 did like even half of that, it would have beaten the PS3 in sales figures.
Did I tell you about that time I went to the Japan, and I went to this department store, and there was this guy behind the counter, and he had a little sort of flag on his shirt, and he spoke English, and he was from Spain, but he spoke Japanese as well, and so I approached him, and I said, I had my phone, I'm looking for these games. These are compatible with a PAL Xbox 360. They're 2D shoot 'em ups, and no, this was department store. So right. These were all new games, and he came round, and I showed him the list, and he said, "Oh, right, no, I'll help you find them." So we went through the shelves, and he found about 3 or 4 of these quite rare shoot 'em ups. I think they cost about £15 each, so not a huge amount.
There's loads, isn't there, on the 360?
Yeah, but it was literally, there's probably about, let's say, 30 of them.
Yeah.
And probably 10 of them worked on PAL machines.
And,
he managed to find me in his shop probably about 3 or 4 of them. And he, absolutely sort of super helpful, and I think he and I said, "Oh, do many people buy the 360s?" And he goes, "Oh, lots of tourists, lots of American soldiers on base. They'll always buy them, and maybe a few local Japanese people sort of will buy them. But I don't think they ever really had the type of games that their sort of Japanese people like to play. That didn't have things like the dating simulators.
No,
they didn't have
RPGs probably.
They didn't have the wealth of really heavy story-driven RPG games. And
yeah, I mean, the range thing's annoying actually. Yeah, because I want to get Raiden, like Raiden 5, I think, or 6.
I think Raiden 5, you can get that. Isn't there an American version of that?
It's an American version, but I don't think even that works on a PAL console.
Really?
Yeah, and my favourite baseball game, which is MLB 2K13, didn't come out in the UK, came out in America. I want to get the 360 version of it, but it doesn't work on a PAL console. And there's the Resident Evil something selection. It's basically Resident Evil 4, Code Veronica, and maybe 5 in one package. Because Code Veronica and 4 were Xbox Live Arcade download only, but in Japan they released a disc on the 360 with those on, and I want that because I really like Resident Evil 4 and Code Veronica.
I mean, if it's region locked, I mean, I think if you look on eBay to get an Xbox 360, a Japanese one is not cheap.
No, I mean you'd have to. I mean you've only got to like sort of flash or like get like a J tagged Xbox 360. There's plenty of. I'm not going to mention who, but there are plenty of places online where you could get a region, a mod chip put in, just like we did with PlayStation 1s and 2s and everything back in the day. So there are ways around that. But yeah, there's the odd one. I mean, some of them we did get like Death Smiles. Like I need to pick it up. I haven't picked it up yet, but that's a shoot 'em up.
Yeah, that's really good.
Really good. That did come out over here.
I thought that was Akai Katana. Dodonpachi came out over here.
Radiant Silvergun. Well, that's not in a physical copy, but it's on.
That came out on Xbox Live. What's another one?
I mean, there's Gradius. There's an R-Type remake on Xbox Live Arcade. That's another whole thing. We're going to run out of time, but another whole aspect are those games that you can download. And yeah, there's a bunch of them that I play. Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection is brilliant. Daytona USA, Virtua Fighter 2, Fighting Vipers, all these games that you could get online only. And there's the thing. I mean, when Xbox Live for 360 goes, what's going to happen to them? They're going to be. Make sure you download them all because they might not be available forever. So that's one downside as well when the service goes. I think it's going to go anytime soon, though. I can't imagine it's much of an impact on their system.
No, I mean, they still do games with gold, don't they, for the Xbox 360? Which
is great, yeah.
And it's quite funny when you as I say, I've got Halo Reach. There's still people playing that online.
Exactly, yeah.
It's quite funny. I watched a video of this guy. And so he went on to Black Ops 2 or something on the Xbox 360. And the video was titled, "Why do people still play Black Ops 2?" Or "Why do people still play the 360 online?" And he was in there, he's going, hello, anyone want to talk to me? Talk to me. And eventually he got some people to talk to, and they were just saying,
we've got to go on online and do an online death match in like Call of Duty on 360.
Yeah, and people would just say things like, "Oh well, I want to get a PS4 or an Xbox One, but this is fine. I don't play it too much, or I haven't really got the money for it." So there's still lots of people that use the service.
Yeah. I played Streets of Rage 2 on 2-player co-op on 360 a few months ago. And it was great. It's really good fun. That whole Mega Drive collection that was out for the 360, all of them. Some of those didn't come out. I'm not sure if all of those games came out on the recent collection on Xbox One, but yeah, you can still play all them online. A lot of those Xbox Live Arcade games that haven't been made available for the Xbox One. Sensible Soccer has been made available, but like Final Fight, Double Impact, things like that don't have like an Xbox One version. That's the only way to play the Far Cry Classic, Call of Duty Classic, Doom 1 and 2, Quake 2 that we just talked about. You could play that online. That had online deathmatch. So yeah, you've got all of these games. Just a friggin' great console.
Yeah, so I think that's a great way to end it.
It is.
Friggin' great console.
Get your Xbox 360 as soon as you can. Now they're cheap. Download all the Xbox Live stuff before they kill it, and just have some fun. And all the games are super cheap now as well, aren't they, Stu?
Yeah, so buy them all now, and in 10 years' time, You can sell them all for hundreds more.
Yeah. And your time continue to play them. Go to Cash Converters though. Apparently it's 40p or whatever it was.
Oh, there are no games left by the time you get there.
Get FIFA 06. That'll still be there, won't it?
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Free, apparently. Well, thank you everybody for listening again, and that's goodbye from me. And Stu, say goodbye.
Goodbye from me.
And we'll see you in the next one. Take care. See you later.